Hey everybody! Today we're going to be reading chapter 24 of 1 Samuel, and after I get done reading scripture, I'm going to explain what I think about it, how I feel about it. And I'm not an expert in scripture at all, so please do not lean on my understanding, but trust in the Lord for understanding and for guidance. And if I mispronounce any names, places, people, words, anything like that, I do apologize. And I'm reading from my Bible. It's the New Living Translation for those who want to follow along. And without further ado, let's get started. After Saul returned from fighting the Philistines, he was told that David had gone into the wilderness of En Gedi. Of En Gedi. So Saul chose 3,000 elite. So Saul chose 3,000 elite troops from all Israel and went to search for David and his men near the rocks of the wild goats. At the place where the road passes some sheepfolds, Saul went into the cave to retrieve him. But as it happened, David and his men were hiding farther back in that very cave. "Now's your opportunity, David," David's men whispered to him. "Today the Lord is telling you, I will certainly put your enemy into your power, to do with as you wish." So David crept forward and cut off a piece of the hem of Saul's robe. But then David's conscience began bothering him because he had cut Saul's robe. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do this to my lord the king. I shouldn't attack the Lord's anointed one, for the Lord himself has chosen him." So David restrained his men and did not let them kill Saul. After Saul had left the cave and gone on his way, David came out and shouted after him, "My lord the king." And when Saul looked around, David bowed low before him. Then he shouted to Saul, "Why do you listen to the people who say I am trying to harm you? This very day you can see with your own eyes it isn't true. For the Lord placed you at my mercy back there in the cave. Some of my men told me to kill you, but I spared you. For I said, I will never harm the king. He is the Lord's anointed one. Look, my father, at what I have in my hand. It is a piece of the hem of your robe. I cut it off, but I didn't kill you. This proves that I am not trying to harm you, and that I have not sinned against you, even though you have been hunting for me to kill me. May the Lord judge between us. Perhaps the Lord will punish you for what you are trying to do to me, but I will never harm you. As that old proverb says, from evil people come evil deeds. So you can be sure I will never harm you. Who is the king of Israel trying to catch anyway? Should he spend his life chasing one who is as worthless as a dead dog or a single flea? May the Lord therefore judge which of us is right and punish the guilty one. He is my advocate, and he will rescue me from your power." When David had finished speaking, Saul called back, "Is that really you, my son David?" Then he began to cry. And he said to David, You are a better man than I am, for you have repaid me good for evil. Yes, you have been amazingly kind to me today. For when the Lord put me in a place where you could have killed me, you didn't do it. Who else would let his enemy get away when he had him in his power? May the Lord reward you well for your kind for the kindness you have shown me today. And now I realize that you are surely going to be king, and that the kingdom of Israel will flourish under your rule. Now swear to me by the Lord that when that happens, you will not kill my family and destroy my line of descendants." So David promised this to Saul with an oath. Then Saul went home, but David and his men went back to their stronghold. Thus ends the reading of chapter 24 of 1 Samuel. So, this chapter is a very good one, because it's basically about the message of repaying good for evil. You know, when someone does evil things to you, you don't do evil things back. You know, you do good to them. You know, you're supposed to love your enemies. You know, when people do messed up things to you, you know, you pray for them. You know, you pray for them and you bless them, and you continue to do what is good and pleasing in the Lord's sight. You know, for example, growing up, I used to, you know, get punished for things that I didn't do. And they didn't know that I wasn't the one. You know, my parents didn't know that I was the one that I wasn't the one doing those deeds. But I used to get punished for things that I didn't do. But even though I was getting punished for things that I didn't do, even though I was being wrongly accused, you know, of committing acts, you know, that I didn't do, you know, I still show love. You know, I still show love to my sibling, even though that was happening to me. You know, still fed him, you know, still shared my food, still took care of him when he was sick, you know, still did those things. Because, you know, you love your family, in spite of what it is that they do to you. It reminds me of how Jesus loved Judas in spite of Judas betraying him, you know. And Jesus, even knowing that Judas would betray him, still treated him with love. You know, he didn't act different once he found out, you know, that Judas was going to betray him. In actuality, Jesus knew the whole time what Judas was going to do, but he loved him anyway. I didn't know, you know, that my sibling would do such a thing, but once I found out his character, you know, back then, like once I found out that's what we was on, that's what we was doing, I'm like, okay, I love my sibling anyway. I don't like the action, but I love my sibling. But to reassure you guys, though, my parent, you know, my mom did eventually find out, and you know, and that never happened again. But and me and my brother are doing well now and everything. You know, he doesn't do anything like that anymore. You know, this was just an example of like what happened to me in the past. You know, growing up as a child, I don't have those such issues now. But I have different issues now. But I mean, you know, like that's just an example. But yeah, when people do evil to you, you repay it for good. And I'm not saying that I was perfect and everything back then. I wasn't. I did messed up stuff too. But I'm just giving an example because, you know, that happened to me quite a bit before things changed, you know. So that was just like a major example for me. So, And it went along with what scripture, with what we just read. So, a recent thing that happened to me that was messed up, that was evil. In all honesty, I can't really think of one. I mean, my granny, she has this bad habit of, judging a person for a sin that she herself commits. So, for example, like the gluttony thing, whenever I would eat, whenever I would want to eat okay, so let's say me and my granny going out to eat, right? If I chose to eat something healthy, to get something healthy to eat, she would try and make me feel bad about getting that healthy thing to eat, and it's because she herself felt ashamed, or bad or guilty or whatever, for choosing to eat something unhealthy when she knows that she shouldn't be, and that she should be following my example and eating something healthy, but she doesn't want to do that. So it's like she tries to put me down, about eating healthy and everything, trying to get me to engage in the sin that she's engaging in, So I basically got flack for trying to eat healthy around her because it made her feel some kind of way, But then, if let's say we going out to eat and I choose to get something unhealthy to eat, then I get judged and criticized and everything for eating something unhealthy. She'll say something along the lines of, now you're not supposed to be eating that. You ain't supposed to have that and stuff. You know that that's not good for you or whatever. She'll say that. But then I sit there and eat something unhealthy as well. She also has a bad habit of, since I do eat healthy now, she'll try to, how, the saying, misery enjoys company. So since I eat healthy now, if she let's say she wants some ice cream, she'll be thinking about ice cream, wanting some ice cream. And I'll think about ice cream and want ice cream because, I want ice cream too. I love ice cream. And, I love it because it's a nice sweet treat that you can literally portion out how much you're going to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got a tub of ice cream, I can literally, use my discipline and just get one small scoop and be okay with just that, Because it's just a sweet treat, just a little something sweet for me to eat, But, like my granny, so like with the ice cream, she'll ask me, do I want ice cream? If I say no, then she'll feel some kind of way because, because she wants ice cream. And she don't want to just go up in there and just get it herself, and do that unhealthy thing. It's like she wants me to do it with her. Like, I guess that makes her feel better about, doing the gluttonous stuff, It's that whole misery loves company thing, But anyway, where I was going with that is that, that is I'm going to say it's a toxic thing that's been done to me. If you want to call it evil, that's fine. But yeah, that's something messed up that happens to me. But, I don't let that bother me. I don't let it bother me anymore. When it first started happening and everything, it used to bother me because, well, I was struggling with gluttony at the time. So, it just bothered me how, I'm being, literally judged and everything on the same sin that you commit also. Like, basically, that's like a murderer trying to condemn a fellow murderer, talking about some, you shouldn't be murdering people. Like, it don't make no sense. Like, you have no right to talk to me about my gluttony, try and put me down about my gluttony when you the same way. It don't make no sense. So, that's something that would happen to me. Now, since I worked on since I worked on that, sin and everything, since I put in the work, since I developed the discipline and everything, and my diet is the majority healthy, she doesn't make such comments anymore. But I can still see it in her actions. Because, she'll still, want to eat something unhealthy and want to drag me along with her. She wants me to participate in the sin of gluttony. She wants me to participate in her bad habits so that way she don't feel as bad about doing it because someone else is doing it with her. But, I don't want to do that. I don't want to eat unhealthy. And I don't want to participate in your sin. I don't want to participate in bad habits. I'm trying to break those. And it's like she sees me doing the work. And she knows that she needs to lose weight. And she looks at me and sees how I've lost over 20 pounds. And she wants that for herself. But, like, she hasn't put in the work. So, like, she won't put in the work. So it's like, it's like you constantly have this, it's like I'm constantly a reminder or a role model of like how she's supposed to be, and she wants, the benefits, the outcomes that I'm getting, but it's like she knows that I put in the work in order to get that, and she doesn't want to do that, So it's like I'm dealing with, things. I'm dealing with things. I wouldn't necessarily call it, you can call it evil if you want to. It probably is a form of it. I just feel like the word evil is just kind of like a strong word for it. But the same thing with what used to happen in the past, when I was a child, with my brother and my mom and stuff. Like, I would just call it toxic behaviors, messed up behaviors, but it is a form of evil anyway, so, but yes, such things would happen to me, but I would still show them love. Like, I love my granny, if she wants ice cream or whatever, I'ma get it because, I love ice cream too. I make sure it's the healthy kind and I get a small container and we don't buy no more until that's gone, but she gotta put in the work. If she makes a comment like, should I be eating this or I shouldn't be eating this, should I? I'm be honest with her, like, yeah, you shouldn't because, you supposed to be losing weight. Like, what you're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, you gonna make your decision. Like I shouldn't even be really commenting on this. Like, basically, you gonna eat what you want to eat. If you want to eat that, that's fine, Like, that's what I be wanting to say. But what I actually say, though, is I say, dang it, I just had it. Hold on. I just had it. Because it's things that I want to say, and then it's things that, that I actually say when I'm in the moment. Oh, okay. So I tell her that, when it comes down to eating healthy and stuff like that, it's something that's going to gradually happen. You have to gradually get into it. Like, I didn't lose more than 20 pounds, in a month. I did that over the course of a year. I did that within a year. It took me a year to do that, and it's because I gradually had to change my eating habits. I had to get used to eating healthy. I had to limit, the unhealthy food that I was eating. It took me time. I had to wean myself off the unhealthy food, and I had to adjust and get myself used to the healthy food. I had to do that. And then I was exercising. I was working at Walmart during this time. So, during that whole time. So, I was exercising. I was getting in physical exercise every day. And I was changing my eating habits. So that combined helped me to lose the weight, helped me to no longer have any health issues, when I went to the doctor and got checked out, and then, for my annual checkup. I put in the work, and it took time. And that's what I tell her. It's going to take time. If you want to eat something unhealthy today, that's fine. Eat what you want to eat, but you need to make sure that you are trying to wean yourself off that unhealthy stuff and get adjusted, and get used to the healthy stuff. You need to make sure that the majority of your diet is healthy. You can have some unhealthy stuff sometimes. My unhealthy thing that I like to eat is, ground beef, that red meat that's hard to digest and that gets you all constipated and stuff. Keep you constipated and stuff. Yeah. I like a steak burger every now and then. And I love me a shake, because that's a lot of sweets and stuff. Sometimes I like some bread. I try and stay away from carbs, but I like me some bread sometimes. I love bread. I love pasta. I love rice. But, I stay away from it because I needed to in order to improve my health. So, yeah, sometimes I'm going to eat me some bread, because bread is my favorite, because who finna make pasta? I don't feel like all that. And I don't really necessarily care for rice like that unless it's some fried rice, like some Chinese food, or, or it's chicken and rice soup, or it's rice to go along with breakfast, like if I'm making a breakfast bowl, with some rice, some brown rice, some scrambled eggs, and some turkey bacon crumpled up or whatever, that'd be fire in the morning, but, I'm not finna, and some rice from Panda Express, but that, that's the fried rice I was talking about. But yeah, other than that, I'm finna stick to my healthy diet. I love to eat soups, salads, and lean meat, and other vegetables, and other fruits. I do fruits, vegetables. My lean meat is chicken, turkey, and fish. Lately, I've been doing a lot of seafood because the fish helps me with some health issues that I'm going through. But specifically the salmon helps. I know it's expensive, but hey, it's good for me and it's really helping me with my health issues. But yeah, I love to eat vegetables, fruits, lean meats, beans, seeds, nuts, legumes, and water, and tea. And the only juice that I will drink is either apple juice or orange juice. Most likely it's orange juice because, the vitamin C. And then if you get the orange juice that got vitamin D in it, which I do get, then, that's even better. So, and grape juice. But I normally just do the grape juice just when I'm doing communion, But yeah, I love that. That's how I eat. That is how I eat. And I love it when my salads have nuts and seeds in it. Perfect way for me to get it, for me to eat it. But I can eat it, by itself as a little snack, My fruits, I love my apples, I love my strawberries, I love my grapes, they're my go-tos, you know. But it's other stuff that I love as well. It's just you just gotta work at it, you know. So for anyone who going through gluttony or anything like that, I really do, you know, pray that this, you know, testimony of mine, you know, helps you. You know, I pray that that, you know, that you always repay evil with good. Always do good to others, no matter what's going on with you, no matter what's happening. Now obey the Lord though, because if the Lord tell you that they gonna get theirs and it's gonna come from, you know, by your hand, then shoot, do what the Lord tell you to do, you know. But other than that, we supposed to love our enemies, pray for them, bless them, and do good. So that's why I say, you know, always obey the Lord. You know, always do what He tell you to do. Because if the Lord tell you to slap somebody, I mean, you better slap them. The Lord told you to do it. Obviously, they deserve it and need it, you know, if the Lord telling you to do it, you know. And it's got to be done by you for some reason. Maybe they going to wake up and see the light. I don't know. But if the Lord tell you to do it, then you do it. And know that when the Lord tell you to do something like that, it's not a sin. Because everything that the Lord does, everything that the Lord tells you to do is just and right. Because He's the Lord. He's not evil. He's good. He can't be evil. The evil one is the devil. He the one that be causing problems. He the one that be stealing, killing, and destroying stuff. He the one. He the problem. But our God is amazing. So I just want to let y'all know that. But thank y'all so much for listening. Like I said, this chapter was a really good one. You know, let's be good. Let's be good no matter what. All this evil that's in the world, let's continue to be the lights of the world. Let's continue to do good and continue to represent Christ here on earth. All right? Thank y'all so much for listening. I love you. Jesus loves you. And have a blessed day. Bye.